right glute. Legs out, coming in. Let's do 5. 5. All the way out, chin is up. 4. Exhale. You want to keep both shoulders on your floor or mat. Okay, let's go 90 degrees at the knees. We're coming right side. We're starting left, going right. Left, going right. Okay, if you want a little bit more advanced, bring your legs straight up, all the way down to the side. Again, keeping the back of your shoulders on your mat or floor. Let's do one more. 1. Coming up, hold, 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 and down. Touch your hip to the floor and up. Let's do 5. 5. Hold for a beat. Side plank.
About this, but when you do this, look straight up at the ceiling, and that's going to protect your neck joint. And then what you're going to do is lift your upper body off the floor, and you're going to reach to one side down to your ankle, and it looks like this. So I'm lifting my body up off the floor, and I'm reaching to one side. And what's happening is it's contracting my intercostal muscles as your head and neck are supported. And then you're going to start with nice straight arms right above your forehead. And with straight arms, you're going to lower your arms down as far as you can let them go. So this is going to depend on your range of motion. Bring them up right about chest level. And when you do that, I want you to contract your abdominal muscles and your glutes as hard as you can. So lower back down. Nice stretch, bring it up, contract everything and give it a nice squeeze.
The other hand. Now you want to make sure the arms are staying soft straight, and you've got to stay palm to palm the whole time. Keep your knees slightly bent and make sure you're protecting your back. Let's get you to have a go at this exercise. It's with soft knees so that you've got a nice heavy base and your back's protected as well. Now, twist and throw those elbows at face height, and I want you guys to look at the contact point. Fists are pretty much together so they don't actually leave each other at all during the exercise. You want to make sure your feet are at shoulder width and you're drawing a semi. Hand is behind your head and you're tilting away from the anchor point. Now, I want you guys to make sure you're not bending your knees, because we want to keep the knees straight so you're isolating your obliques. You're going to roll over with straight legs. So you guys can see that Sabina is doing this one perfectly. Your toes should be pointing out because that's going to give you the best results, and it's going to give you a good hamstring stretch along the way as well. Your turn. Lifted. Now you want to make sure you're tucking all the way to your chest and then extending all the way to straight legs with your toes pointing out as much as you can. Let's get you to try this perfectly. Now you can also see Sabina's got her arms in a T position to assist her and to create a stable base. Let's get you to have a go doing the same thing. So we're stirring the pot by circling in one direction for 5 reps and then changing it up and hitting the other direction for 5 reps as well. Keep alternating until the end of your set. Now you want to make sure straight legs with your toes pointing throughout the whole exercise. Let's get you to have a go at this one. So right here you can see I'm slightly off center, which is exactly where I want to be. I'm going to hold 30 seconds, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to roll. So we're going to roll all the way through. Just like that. We're going to get to around about the middle of the back by giving myself a seconds. And then what we're going to do from here is pretty much from the middle of the back, I'm going to roll right up, come past your shoulder blades. Let's get as close to your neck as we can. And rolling back. Just like that. We're going to work that for 30 seconds. Nice and slow. We're doing it on a slight angle so you're on your rhomboids and not on your spine.
Pushing your hands laterally. Breathe correctly so your stomach protrudes as you breathe. That tells us we're engaging the diaphragm. Practice blowing up balloons. And if you're a good singer, sing some songs, because singing exercises the diaphragm differently than speaking and talking or breathing. So he's a candidate for a poor core, poor diaphragm, poor pelvic floor. He's going downhill. Okay? So we want to address those. Once you start to strengthen him and he does the belt, you can come back and see if he's stronger. If the belt works or the strap works around the rib cage or the towel, then we should see improved strength in those muscles after.
You gotta close the lid. So if you want to get more advanced, you want to go diagonal. And sometimes people have restrictions here because lung, maybe they had pneumonia. This is a great way to start breaking up these things. Some of my patients with shortness of breath really do benefit from this. And then you can get to the other cross. So sometimes I do an X, sometimes I do a rectangle, I do a Z, backward Z as well. Great exercise to really try to kind of hone in the top of. Sometimes there's restrictions because of the organs. So I generally like to have Joey right here and one hand on top, one hand on bottom. One of the first instructions really is to just inhale 50% air, and you're creating an air tension, an air bubble. So right there, and what he's doing right now is he's using his diaphragm to push the ball down and up. And right now it's kind of going through here. And you probably do this about 5 times, or a 30-second hold. Or if you can't hold your breath that long, then just exhale and then start again. But you gotta close the lid. You gotta close the lid. So if you want to get more advanced, you want
come down onto your elbows, and then you're gonna relax those ab muscles like this. Now it's going to be a little bit discomforting at first, but that will go away eventually. You're just going to kind of roll the ball around to the left side under the rib cage, feel some tension. If you feel a spot that's tense, you just let the ball sit there until it advances. So if you can't do it all the way, you can just raise your legs like this. You're going to extend the legs out till they're about 6 inches off the ground. Inhale. Hold for 3 seconds, exhale, hold for 3 seconds.
So breathing is a big part of this for the doctor.
Lie down, come up like so. Nice yoga type pose here like this. Just keep the hip bone.
As I exhale, I'm feeling my ribs kind of move. I'm also feeling my lower back accumulate or take up more space against the floor. So again, an inhale and a long exhale. Open up the jaw. A bridge and an exhale. Pull down your spine.
With a knee hug, so a decompression, holding for approximately 30 seconds and then moving into a figure 4 stretch. By twisting and turning, we're relaxing and moving through the lumbar spine, as well as stretching those attachments down which blend in. We want to hold and work on each side, aiming to hold between 15 into a side bending position to again open up through the spine, but also stretch around the ribs where the diaphragm blends in. Holding for 2 to 5 seconds on end range through the diaphragm around the front and moving through the thoracic spine and the lower back. We then want to...
You're going to inhale through your nose and you're going to exhale into the balloon. And to inhale again through your nose, you're going to block the balloon with your tongue. Okay, and you can do that until the balloon is nice and big. Go ahead. Perfect. Perfect. So it might take you between 3 to 7 breaths to blow up a balloon.
You're going to sit backwards. Okay, you're going to turn your right hip kind of outwards, so it's like a turn back, and your left side is going to crunch down, okay? And you can even reach down with the left hand to kind of increase that stretch. Okay, what you should feel is a big opening all through that right side. You might feel a little stretch up into the lat. Okay, you're going to hold there, breathe in through your nose.
Down the back. Good, crown of the head is lifted. And let's just take a nice little cat-cow. So as you exhale, take pubic bone to ribs, push the floor away, arch your back as much as you can up to the sky, really opening up the muscles in between the ribs. And as you open, keep sparring through the hands and lift and lengthen the centre of the chest forward. So you really want the whole spine. Exhale. full one. Really helps to open up all that tension in between the shoulders. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Keep lifting the toes, keeping the belly up and lifted, and then drag yourself all the way back up again. Good. So keeping that length from armpits to pelvis. You're going to release your right toes down. And then you're slowly going to release your hands down to the mat and then step back into your downward dog.
Relax and feel your body as you breathe and switch sides. Both sides of your buttocks down on the mat. Don't lift one side up. Opposite arm on the outside of your knee, other hand by your tailbone. Straighten that back elbow. Pull your neck out of your shoulders and then look over your back shoulder. Breathe. Side plank is another way to do it. You can get on as you exert, inhale as you release. Exhale up, inhale down.
We're gently arching backwards, and then we want to go into a side bending movement, so leaning the body over to one side and back to the middle and then over to the opposite side. So with each of these movements we want to repeat that cycle between 5 to 10 times, slow and controlled within a pain-free range. And then very slowly, so you want all of it to be within a pain-free range, gently looking up and then under, down into the rib cage. So we feel right at the bottom of the rib cage. You're going to gently let the fingers tuck underneath the ribs. As you breathe in, you don't push in, and as you breathe out, you curl the fingers underneath the rib cage. So you're looking at about just the tip of the finger and you're holding that for a couple of seconds. And then relaxing, and then moving across and moving down the ribs a little bit more. So as you breathe in, leaving the fingers where they are, and as you breathe out, gently curling the fingers underneath the rib cage.
Workstation, you name it, a whole host of things can actually create a stuck diaphragm. So here's one thing you can do pretty quick. Use your fingers as leverage. I'm going to put it on my thigh, and I'm going to put my fingers under my rib cage, and then I can just kind of hold my rib cage with my thumb, and then what I'm going to do is go back and forth and massage. So I could start all the way down here. Here's a sticky point for me. So I just kind of lean forward onto it and then rub and breathe, because it doesn't feel that good sometimes. And I'm actually, this is my rib cage, I'm actually pulling my fingers onto the back side of it and trying to roll.
Okay, but you control the amount of pressure on the ball just by changing the weight on your elbows. How's that feeling now?
That's actually pretty nice.
That's pretty nice now? It's starting to ease up a little bit?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so first we're going to take a bunch of deep breaths, maybe release some of the fascial connections in that area. So be really gentle in this area, get some compression, a little bit of lateral motion, and circumduction. Working all. Okay, how does that feel?
That's really nice, actually.
Yeah, that seems to be releasing right between the ribs, the intercostals.
Yeah.
Good. Do you remember all of these structures? Be quite comfortable actually laying on the ball there. How's that feeling?
It feels nice.
Good. So we take it from one side to the middle to the other side. At first we're just using compression, deep breaths, and letting the area actually release. After we've been on there for 15-20 seconds, then we start getting a little bit of lateral motion in there. Good. How's that feeling?
That's nice.
Yeah.
Breast tissue so that I can pull on the rib cage to sort of
Hi.
Forehead down to relax my neck, arms overhead, knees bent, ankles relaxed. I'm going to take a breath in and a breath out. Things to think about when doing this exercise is to breathe in for 4 seconds and then to breathe out for 4 seconds. And you do that for 4 to 8 repetitions. All right, next we're going to move to the passive-active variation of this exercise for your diaphragm. Passive-active because the lower body is going to be closer to the ground. The lower body is going to become passive, so none of the your hip muscles, your psoas and your iliacus, they're not gripping at all, okay? And they can be in a relaxed state. Your upper body is going to be a little bit more active. So this is what the movement looks like. You come to a side lying 90-90 position, also known as triple flexion. My bottom elbow is stacked a little bit forward of my shoulder, all right? This hip, knee, and ankle are all at about 90 degrees. All right, and then my top knee, hip, and shoulder are all in one line with my ear. I take my top hand to my hip, and I can just look at my belly and do the same breathing count and the same breathing reps. So I breathe in, and I breathe out. A more advanced variation of this exercise, you take your top shoulder, you're going to lean it as close to the floor as you can, look through the window, find your heel, breathe in, breathe out. So you'll do 4 to 8 reps per side. Top position, wrists are underneath my shoulders, knees are under my hips or slightly forward of my hips. Ankles and feet are dorsiflexed under, and I want to make sure my chin is looking at my own chest. I'm going to lift my knees and push my heels back. My knees are 2 inches off the ground. I maintain an arch on my low back. I breathe in, and I breathe out. And those are the exercises. Your diaphragm for my belly breathing technique. So basically the idea is I'm going to breathe in the 4 corners of my stomach into the ground. And then I'm going to exhale and pull the middle of the 4 corners, or my belly button, off of the floor. So the idea is when I pull the navel back, it's almost like I'm trying to fill up the space in my low back. All right, the passive exercise.
The last 2 will be of a twist. Starting with the first one, find a tall crown of the head and let initially the head drop from side to side. You can also bring your chin towards your chest and lengthen your throat. Sorry. The next exercise, go to the opposite side. Same thing on the other side. You can do that if you're left. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, move sideways. Come up, switch, grip your wrist, lengthen, sideways. Exhale, push with the right wrist and twist. Do that 2 more times. Lengthen and twist. And try to bring your wrist or your elbow on the outside of the knee. Same thing on the opposite side.
Good pillow here or anything, but you want to have that propped up. You're going to raise the top arm up like I'm reaching up over my head. And you see what I'm looking for is I want to reach till that rib cage rises up. Once I'm in this position, I want to take deep breaths from that diaphragm. So as I breathe in, my stomach should go out. And as I breathe out, my stomach should go in. The key key part of this is the breath in. That's where the stretch occurs. So you really those deep breaths again from that diaphragm, trying to open that up, get that stretch. As I am able to relax that, I may notice that I can open up more and more. Same thing.
I don't like to bounce or do anything like that. Just rotation back and forth while you're doing it. And just very, very slight, few inches each direction. Same thing. You're going to drop to the opposite side like this. And what you can do while you're doing this is look up and down, just a little bit of movement like that. To the opposite side.
And we're just going to inch down the shin bone. Again, pulling the right trunk up to the ceiling and extending it as much as the left side of the trunk. Bringing the left arm up to the ceiling and turning, revolving the trunk to the left. There's the twist, okay? And if you're doing all of this right, you cannot help but breathe, man. Ooh, you cannot help but breathe. But keep on extending that right waist. Keep on extending, lifting up, lifting up, lifting up, lifting up. And I'm by the wall, so normally I think I can get to the wall. And just to get a better twist, I'm going to turn my hand this way. Okay? And keep on going down. And breathe. And twist. And breathe. And lean.